is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Let's go, baby.
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break.
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
Well, not exactly. That's not the cast of characters for this show. You know, we do a little bit of everything on the Cowboys break. I don't think we've actually had this combination before, but I'm happy to be here. Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Jesse Holley joins the show. I think first time for the break.
This is the first time you and I have ever worked together.
Really?
Ever. On anything.
Well, not exactly. I mean, I did a story with you after you were
scoring,
he
covered
making
you
that big
for at
play
least
in
a
the
couple
49ers,
years.
and we sat down and
Well,
I did
that's
like
different.
a 3,000. Yeah,
that's different. That's us both doing work.
I just wrote a story about you like 2 days ago. It's a small little story, yeah. It's for a book that we're working on, the 60th anniversary book. So
nice.
Yeah, I figured you would be a nice little sidebar.
Make it in there.
2011 season. All right.
A couple paragraphs.
A lot of stuff's going on here, huh?
Woo. Understatement.
You know what?
Well, depends on your definition of happening. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. You know what? I totally forgot about one name, big name that's been linked to the Cowboys. I'm trying to throw all the names that are in and out and all that. Before we get going, I just want to say this. You guys can chime in on your thoughts on this. My opinion, obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. We know that. We know that from the outside, and bigger stuff than football. So, yes, that being said, we're not being tone deaf to anything that's going on, but, this is hopefully maybe gives people a little bit of a break. That's what the show's called. Gives them a break from some of the news that they read, and it can be kind of, you get tired head doing that. So we know that there's bigger stuff going on, but we're going to take this time here and talk about Cowboys, talk about football, and hopefully things get back to reality.
It's been a really weird week because the league decided to go forward with free agency, and probably for the better, because there's no guarantee that this is going to remarkably improve in the next few weeks. So it's been a really nice distraction to think about, oh man, okay, this guy's going, Tom Brady's going to Tampa, what's that going to look like? But then as soon as I start thinking about that, I'm like, well, can he get his physical? When are the OTAs? When are we actually going to get to see Tom Brady wear a Buccaneer uniform? It's just really weird, but it has been nice to have this stuff to talk about and think about for sure.
Jesse, just now you were kind of asking what was the biggest thing that you thought, in free agency around the league, and I think we said Tom Brady. You asked the question. You really didn't give the answer. What was your answer? I guess Cowboys related or just anything NFL?
I mean, of course, and the question was outside of the DeAndre Hopkins steal.
Steal is an understatement. Yeah.
For that, I would say the Miami Dolphins to me, and I know that's kind of far, but the Miami Dolphins I don't know who they bank with. I don't know who signed the checks over there, but they have opened up the vault and have just been signing guys left and right, giving out big money. A lot of the guys have Patriot ties. Brian Flores has a Patriot tie, but they have shockingly opened up the checkbook and been signing guys left and right.
And you can do that when you spend 2 years offloading all your good players. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's they were the team that was tanking at the start of last season, and they shipped Robert Quinn to Dallas for pennies. They got rid of. I mean, now they got Byron Jones, they got Kyle Van Noy. They're starting to add these players, but before a month ago, I struggle to tell you. They even shipped Kenyon Drake out of town. Right. I struggle to tell you who was on that roster. So at least in that regard, it makes sense that they had $80 million to give to Byron Jones.
You mentioned Hopkins. I thought the funniest thing that I've seen on social media is when someone said that that Chris Godwin, who wears number 12 for the Bucs, is going to get more for giving up number 12 to Brady than Bill O'Brien got for giving up Hopkins.
Yeah.
But that's a serious question, though. That is a serious question.
The number?
What is he going to give up for that number? Where's your what?
I mean, he has a logo that says TB12, right?
Right.
That's his logo.
That-
You can't. He's got to work.
They'll make it work.
And you're
Godwin will-
and you're in Tampa, so TB12 in Tampa Bay.
Oh yeah.
I'll give you. Can I give a quick number story?
Yeah.
Very quickly. During my time at UNC, I played basketball as well, and my number was 24. And so one day during like the spring summertime, I'm sitting in a Bojangles having lunch by myself. I get a call from an assistant coach. CB McGrath calls me and he goes, "Hey, just out of curiosity, is there any other number that you like besides 24?" I'm just like, "No, man, wore 24 in basketball in high school. Like, that's my digs. That's my number." He's like, "Think about it and I'll call you back in 30 minutes."
Uh-oh.
So I go, whatever. I finished eating my chicken and he called me back and says, "So have you thought about it?" I'm like, "CB, no, I haven't thought about it." He's like, "So we don't want to give you a new number. We kind of want you to kind of pick your own new number." I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
They're giving you the illusion of choice here.
At that time, we had just signed the number one recruit in the country, Marvin Williams, and he wanted number 24. So they were like, "Yeah, we basically promised Marvin that he'll wear number 24, and because you're like the 7th, 8th guy off the bench, and he's the number one recruit in the country, what number would you like?"
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
0. They was like, "Cool, thank you," hung up. And so I wore number 0 for that next
Which,
year.
you know, in college they can kind
Right.
of do what they want. Like Chris Godwin will probably get like a charitable donation out of it, and maybe Tom will buy him a Rolex or something. But he's getting 12.
Yeah, my number starts at $100,000 though. Like that's where
Okay.
the floor is at 100.
I mean, I think Tom can afford it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's get to Cowboy news. Let's start where things have done here in the last few days. Kai Forbath, Anthony Brown, those guys are expected to sign with the Cowboys. Of course, everything's a little bit different in dotted line, agreed terms. Maybe some of them have come in and signed it, but Brown, Forbath, Joe Looney looks like he's headed back here as well. Maurice Kennedy, is that how we say it?
Maurice Kennedy,
cornerback from the Ravens and Jets. Maybe.
Spent some time with the Jets.
What-
Jarwin.
Blake
and
signed his already.
don't
right?
forget the $100 million guy,
What?
Amari.
Those guys
Whoa.
are expected to sign. I'm actually starting backwards.
Oh,
I was
okay.
I was kind of thinking that maybe you covered it some in the show you did yesterday.
Just saying. I'm just saying.
Well, they were written down.
Okay, all
I
right.
was going in with
My bad.
recent stuff. I feel like everyone listening is, they're keeping up with this. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the recent stuff first. Go backwards. Yes, we'll hit to the big hitters in a second. You like the Forbath move? Forbath?
I guess.
As long as it's not the only thing they do.
Yeah.
Like as long as it's not just Kai's our guy. He
Yeah,
was
I
great.
agree.
He was great for a month last year. 10 kicks, I think. I mean, he was great. No disrespect to him. He didn't miss a single extra point or field goal.
Yeah,
right?
I count 20 now. It used to be just field goals.
No,
but
for sure.
now
I mean, after
you
the
have to count
struggles-
everything
Yeah.
with the way the rules are now, and especially with him. I mean, he's missed some.
Happy to have him back, but I don't like the idea of it's just his job.
Just him.
And
Well, it's not just him, but was it Tristan Vizcaino or they
yeah,
have another kicker.
Yeah.
He'll be probably going to camp, but still somebody else.
I want there to be at least 2 kickers.
Yeah.
And not like a guy that saves Kai's leg on off days, but like a guy that's competing to be the Cowboys kicker.
Isn't it a little bit crazy that we've come to a point in NFL football now where we have discussions about kickers because they've been so sporadic? Like, this wouldn't have been a discussion 10 years ago. Like, we would have been like, we would have even mentioned the kicker.
Yeah.
Like, he wouldn't have been in any other mentions of signees. He might have a small sentence if you were listing all the signings, but now, because of where the NFL is at and how kicking has become so crucial and so crazy at times, and then where this team has been the last year or so with the inconsistency of kicking.
Yeah.
Now we have to have this conversation about, is this guy going to be good enough for the long haul?
How many times do the Cowboys blow out a team? I mean, it's few, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, last year it felt like they were either blowing people out in wins or losing.
I mean, really over the last 5 or 6 years, though, they don't blow a lot of teams out, and they don't get blown out.
But that was the philosophy of Jason Garrett, though. But Jason Garrett always wanted to be, as long as I'm within a puncher's chance.
Like an 8-8 type of guy?
At the end of the game, that was always his philosophy.
Well,
he was never looking to blow anyone out. He was always saying...
So that's why kicking comes in important. And and it's not just at the end of the games. I mean, think about it. If a team gets the ball with 1:30 to go before halftime, you kind of think with their 2-minute offense, they're going to get down and at least get in position and kick a field goal. So field goals, they always matter at the end of the half, end of the game. So I think it's good to have Forbath back, but I agree with you. Like, let's see what else, because all it takes for him is one missed extra point in the season opener, and then you're already thinking, okay.
Not to jump the gun on your talking points like I already did, but like that's kind of how I feel about everything they've done so far.
All right,
I'm like, I like that, as long as it's not the only thing they're going to do.
Let's go down the list then. Okay. Let's Anthony Brown. I mean, obviously that won't be the only thing, but
I love it.
You need 4 corners, right?
Right.
So they've got 3 for sure. That
3 with starting / major playing experience.
Brown, Cheeto,
and Jordan Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, when Brown re-signed or agreed last night, like a lot of people were dogging him. He's been, I swear to God, there's people that just like, there's this cornerback out there that's never been beaten for like, he just gives up play. I'm like, well, yeah, like that's what happens. Like teams throw the ball 40 times a game.
Yeah. What I love is I had someone say, I would rather have kept Alumba and let this guy go. And I was like, have you ever seen him race? I know this isn't like 5th grade, but have you seen the guys race? Because if they would race Anthony Brown and Donovan Alumba,
wouldn't be close.
Anthony Brown would be able to turn around at the end and kind of like wave to. I mean, it's probably the difference of 4.3 and a 4.6, 4.7 guy. That was Alumba's problem. He just couldn't run.
It's absolutely that's ridiculous. Like Anthony Brown, he's honestly, for me, like if he's your 3rd corner, then your secondary is probably pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Like 4-year starter, he's played slot, he's played outside. I mean, he's adequate, if not outright good.
And with the new changes that this Cowboys defense will be making, Al Harris is one of those guys who wants to get up and press you. Like, he's the new DB coach. So you're going to need to have that recovery speed. You're going to need to be able to, challenge a guy at the line of scrimmage and then be able to run and track guys down. Hopefully this year, turn and look for the ball.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
But
that's going to be a methodology of how Al Harris and that, Mike Nolan, they teach that up in your face, press at the line of scrimmage. So that speed that you're talking about is going to be necessary, and a guy like Alumba wouldn't fit into the scheme of what they want to do, because once you get beat from the line, you have no recovery speed.
Which I can hear the rebuttal coming at me right now, and I get it. I said, if AB is your 3rd best corner, you're feeling pretty good. You could easily make the argument he's currently the best corner on this team, and that's a little troubling.
Yeah.
It's not like I don't feel good about the cornerback group on this team. I don't feel great about it. I do like the decision to bring Anthony Brown back. I would love for them to go get another free agent or draft a guy highly, or maybe even both. But I think it's a nice step in the right direction.
We always talk about free agency being able to cover, the bases on these positions, so you go into the draft and you don't need a guy. You don't have to have that position. I think if they don't do anything else at corner, I still feel like you've got to get a cornerback in the first 2 rounds.
That's kind of where I'm at. Is no disrespect to Jordan Lewis or Cheeto, but I don't look at those 3 and I'm just like, well, if we don't do anything else to this position, we're fine. Like, I don't know how you could feel that way.
Yeah, they're free agents. 2 of them are free agents next year.
And I mean, if you're looking at the big picture, then you're just setting yourself up to be in deep trouble next year. So. Yeah. I wanted them to take a look at Desmond Trufant, but it looks like he's off to Detroit. So I think the market is, it's crazy how that happens. It's technically the 2nd day of official free agency, and the market's kind of.
Would you have traded a 3rd and a 5th for like Philly did for Darius Slay?
I would have traded a 3rd and a 5th, but when you add paying him $50 million over 3 years, I don't hate that deal. But I'm not sitting here thinking the Cowboys blew it by not doing that either.
Yeah. Now they've got a guy, they've got a guy that he actually did a really nice job, if I remember, against Amari Cooper. Yep. Of course,
in 2 career matchups, he's done really well against Coop.
Are they both on the road?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about one of them, but they played the Lions in Detroit last year, and Cooper actually had a really amazing catch on him. If it was going around Twitter last night, the sideline catch.
Sideline. That was That was it, though.
He had 3 catches for 38 yards.
Yes.
Slay did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep moving here. Joe Looney looks like that's going to happen. That's another good solid move there because remember, on game day, he can play 3 positions. He's your backup center, he's your backup guard. Everybody on our social media team, I'm sure, loves to have Joe Looney back. He does. They ask him to do everything, and he does. He's great.
Well,
but he's a good player.
We love him for his personality, but I think that matters in the locker room too. I think he's a widely beloved guy. I mean, like he's a backup and sort of has this elevated presence because of how much his teammates love him and respect him. Played really well for Frederick a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I love
fine
that.
with that.
I love that.
Your deep snaps will be good next year. Fine with that?
I'm totally fine with that.
LP is going to be doing this for 10 more years, I feel like. And
what did you say? Nobody's winning life better than
nobody.
$1 million.
I've said this years ago.
It's the best.
Years ago.
Other than backup quarterback, it's the next best position in football.
But I will say this, and people just think the snapping, and that's what you have to do most of the time. But if he was a liability to run down on a punt, I mean, you still have to run down 40 yards, and you'd like to think other guys will make that tackle, especially if the punt's high enough and all that. But he's still able to go and do that, and he keeps his body good and all that.
But don't discredit that snapping part. Like that is so. When you watch a guy come off the edge for a field goal block, and there are, millimeters from blocking it.
Yeah.
It's simply because the snap got that back there, and it wasn't high and it wasn't left or right. I mean, it got to the point so that the catcher can get it and get it down and get it kicked.
And doesn't even have to spin it.
That is so important when you're talking about. And then also for special teams, and because I played with LP, when you come up for a punt, LP will sometimes help you get into the right call, right? Because a personal player may come up and call the wrong call, and he'll go, "Hey, no. 53. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's better. So he'll adjust you sometimes at the line of scrimmage to get you in the right call.
What is he's like 38 something probably?
Yeah.
I mean, if his snaps don't drop off, like he can just keep re-signing 1-year deals and for 10 more years. I don't care.
So he's played 237 games. If he plays 16 more, that's what, 253?
Yeah.
And Jason Witten's at 255, and I'm just going to segue into the fact that I think Jason Witten is done at 255 for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
There's been reports that he's going to the Raiders, so we'll see how
it's a
all
weird.
that goes.
It's a weird week for everyone because, and you've seen teams kind of poking fun at it on Twitter. Is like the NFL's not letting teams announce these signings, so. There's a lot of room for interpretation.
No. They're letting teams announce the signings. They're not letting teams announce agreed to terms.
Yeah. If you do actually get your physical and sign,
right,
you can announce it. But because of COVID-19, a lot of guys aren't getting their physicals, therefore are not signing. It's a strange week.
And I do understand that. They agreed to terms with this guy or this guy, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, I guess we can't call him. And when in reality, it's really not done yet. But one of those guys, we'll just skip it around here. One of those guys that it's kind of interesting on what will happen with him is Gerald McCoy, defensive tackle, 6-time Pro Bowler, played mostly for the Bucs, also with Carolina last year. And he's a guy that I think pending a physical, that's a guy that the Cowboys will sign if they can get him in here. Do we like the move there? Malik Collins, younger, moves on. McCoy, more established, older guy, but a different type of player, different fit.
Now, will he be playing inside or outside? Because he played a lot of outside rushing off the edge for Carolina last year.
I would imagine, and he did, but I would imagine he will primarily be their 3 technique with some versatility to move outside.
That's the position that I thought he was playing.
Yeah.
I really didn't know he played some of the defensive end.
He did.
Yeah.
Like they moved him out a little bit, but he's their 3 technique.
I'm with this Gerald McCoy. I'm like David. I'm okay with the signing, but this can't be all that they do. I think this one is a couple years late for me, because I've been wanting him a couple years ago.
Yeah,
and he's finally gotten here. He seems to be ecstatic. It's crazy. He has a son that's going to Oklahoma next year.
Stepson.
Stepson.
So I mean, it's not as crazy as it could be.
Okay.
But, yeah.
But I was like, when I saw that, I was like, wait, he has a son going to Oklahoma. But I'm okay with this. I think this is a piece that will that will help on the inside. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with Tyrone Crawford. Is he going to,
The forgotten man.
I think he's back. I do. Now, they might have to restructure his deal a little bit. He's supposed to make $8 million, I think, next year. But I do think he's back. Now, the question with him, which has been the question forever, is what position does he play? Does he play in? Does he play inside? I mean, how are they going to use him? But from what I was been told about what they want at tackle, it's not Rod Marinelli's defensive tackles anymore, obviously. They want bigger guys that more clog up the middle and not as much of, moving the pocket up, rushmen that get up the field. Not that McCoy can't do that, but I do think you'll see some kind of big defensive tackle, and that's not Crawford.
And I think that's important.
I think Crawford
because what we have at linebacker, bringing back Sean Lee, we pray that Leighton's neck kind of comes together. Those necks are always tricky.
Yeah.
And then we pray that we get a resurgence from Jalen Smith. Those guys are better when they don't have to deal with fat guys. So if you get fat guys to clog up the other fat guys and let those other guys be athletes, Sean Lee's going to be able to diagnose whatever the play is. I'm confident of the knowledge of Sean Lee. Now, his body may not react the way you want it or as fast to react as it used to. He'll be able to know where the play is going. Leighton, if he can be healthy, has the capability of running down anywhere sideline to sideline, and we all know what Jalen can be athletically. But when they have to deal with fat guys, when they have to deal with other 300-pound guys that they have to shed and get off, that is where they begin to struggle through the course of a game. So if you got some bigger guys in front of them that allow them to just be free-flowing tackling machines, now you've created something for those guys to go and be athletes, to go out there and just do what they normally do instead of having to deal with shedding guys, because they just can't. Like, they're not your traditional linebackers. They're more of your run fast linebackers, and we have to deal with those fat dudes through the course of the game. That wears them down.
What is your defensive tackle position looking like right now?
So I really like the McCoy signing. It's funny to me, and obviously, Rod Marinelli's not here. Maybe that's part of it. They didn't want him. He got 1 year for $10 million last year with Carolina. They weren't interested there. He signs here for a reported, or he agrees here. Whatever, we'll see. It's a weird week, but the deal that is supposedly in place is 3 for $20 with bonuses. It comes out to like $6 a year. So it's always going to be about cost with these guys. It seems like, but I think he's still got gas in the tank. He played well in Carolina. The thing again, like Jesse said, it can't be all they're going to do. I mean, mathematically, it can't be all they're going to do because they literally have Gerald McCoy and Tristan Hill. And I was sitting here yesterday. I'm like, these nose tackles are dwindling because Linval Joseph is gone. Ashawn Robinson is gone. I think there's a couple other guys that have gotten snatched off the market too, to where I'm like, I would love for you to invest in both of these positions, and I'm curious to see what that entails.
Snacks Harris is still out there.
He's still available.
Come on, Snacks.
Like some snacks.
If you want to see me do some fist pumping, make that happen.
I'll be right there with you.
All right, we're working backwards here. These are the moves that have happened recently, not the biggest moves they've done this week. We're going to go to break, come back. We're going to talk about the big three: Jarwin, Dak, Cooper. Maybe not in that order.
Your new apartment's big. Such a great deal.
It's okay.
Just okay? What's not to...
It's right above the subway!
Well, I bet you don't even notice it after the...
That's my neighbor, Angus.
A deal that's just okay is not okay. Get a great deal with America's Best Network. Come into an AT&T store to find out how to get one of our popular smartphones for $0 down. Based on GWS One score, September 2019.
Do you want the most interesting, up-to-the-minute Dallas Cowboys news straight from the Star in Frisco? How about exclusive and on command? That's right, news and nuggets you can't find anywhere else. With our exclusive Cowboys content on Alexa, you can have all the answers, secrets, stories, and more. What's Stephen Jones thinking during a game? What's Joe Looney's favorite pregame meal? We take your questions to Cowboys players and coaches, and you can hear the answers directly back to you. Just say, Alexa, open Dallas Cowboys.
Whether you're into being a part of this or more into something like this, SeatGeek has the tickets to the events you love. It's the easiest way to find, buy, and sell tickets. Plus, with their Deal Score technology, they'll recommend the best seats in the house at the best value. So the next time you're craving this Download the SeatGeek app and let's go. SeatGeek.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again for Tailgating with the OtterBox Boys.
OtterBox, the company that builds wildly overprotective phone cases?
The one and only. But cases are just the start. OtterBox is the official outfitter of tailgating.
If they can keep my phone safe, what can they do for my parking lot party?
How about protecting your beverages from suboptimal drinking temperatures with their elevation tumblers? And OtterBox elevation tumblers come in 3 sizes: a 10-ouncer, a 20-ouncer, and even a 64-ounce growler.
Check out all the colors and sizes of their elevation tumblers at otterbox.com.
Back to the break.
All right, we're back here on the break. We're talking a little reality TV show from Jesse Holley. Of course, he won 4th and Long. What was that?
Long
10
time
years ago.
Yeah.
2010. It was awesome though.
9.
9 years ago.
No, 2009.
2009. Yeah. Got you into the Cowboys on 2010. My favorite story, it's not, everyone will say the 49ers running 77 yards. My favorite one is the Vikings game, and I know they played it on here last week but the best part about that whole thing was that it was a punt that just landed right to you. You turned and scored, but that got you onto the practice squad that year, and that play was 4th and Long.
It was.
And they punted, and it went right to you, and you said, I'll just take this to the house.
Go do it, man. We needed to make a play. We were losing in that game. And
see, that was the 4th preseason game, and in your mind, we needed to make a play. In most of the other players' mind is, I'm running out of sunflower seeds.
Right.
Like this game, get my pads off, all that stuff. But not for everyone. And we have seen 4th preseason game can matter to certain
That's why I want them to eliminate preseason. Like, don't treat preseason like it's nothing, because it means something to those. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything to Dak and to Zeke and to Amari, but guys like me, it means something. So every opportunity that we get, because you don't get them in practice.
Yeah,
you guys know, you at training camp. Like, if you're in training camp and you get 2 reps, you've had a good day. You know what I'm saying? The starters get all the reps.
Well, guess what?
I know
the Cowboys get 5 preseason games this year.
We hope.
Come on now.
I'm just saying.
I know.
Just
that
saying,
was
man.
talking Cowboys. Let's not do that here. All right. Let's go to what they did earlier in the week. Let's go with Amari Cooper. I mean, 5 years, $100 million. That's the deal. That is signed. That deal is signed, by the way. What do you think about that? Do you think the Redskins came in at the last minute and kind of pushed up the price somewhat?
I feel like the price was probably always there, right?
Always at 20?
That's 20, and I don't know. That's the way these things kind of work. I mean, Julio's at 22. I mean, Amari doesn't have as great of a case for that, so he doesn't set the market. But how long ago did Odell sign his $18 million deal?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. So I mean, that's just so. I don't know that I necessarily buy that the Redskins drove the price up. I think that was probably always the price, just when you account for the ever expanding market.
When you make that trade the way they did it, I just remember thinking, if they lose Amari Cooper, all this stuff that they said about Cooper being 24 years old and all that, that means you have to sign him, because you're using your first-round pick for him, so he has to be here. So I thought it was going to be a huge fail if he wasn't. I still think that's a little high for what we saw last year. I don't think that he showed last year that he was the second best receiver in the NFL. I guess you could make the case Julio didn't show he was the first, but he has over the course of his career. But there's some concerns, I think, with Amari Cooper. They're still there, and you wonder how him getting $20 million a year, you wonder how, if at all, it changes anything.
I think a little bit of the concern, and they know more because, and I mean they as Steven and Jerry Jones know more about, was there a rocky relationship between Amari and Sanjay and Amari and Jason? The talks about that last year and how that played into whatever the performance was on the field. And now that you have a fresh start, and I think with Mike McCarthy, he looks at it and you go, we need a guy. If we're going to be successful at what we do offensively, we need a guy like this. We're going to be in 3 and 4 wide receiver sets. And it kills what we want to do schematically offensively if we don't have a dominant number one. If we don't have a dominant number one that can set the tone of what we want to do offensively, then it kind of really kills what we can do everywhere else and how we can continue to grow Michael Gallup and how we can continue to grow Blake Darwin and whoever their other pieces they bring in to play in the slot. It kills all those other pieces if you don't have a guy outside that's going to command the defense's attention and the number one corner and the safety being, moving over to that side. So I think when you add all that into the play, and then if I'm an agent, I'm going back and I'm saying, you saw what Dak was when you didn't have him, right? Like as much as you want to say what it was last year between the home and the away splits about how those and the targets may be in the play of that, but you have to say to yourself, if I'm an agent, I'm going and I'm saying, okay, Mr. Jones, you remember what life was like before he got here. And if you want to start all over again with the devil that you don't know, by all means, don't pay us and we'll go somewhere else. But if you want to keep this thing here and deal with the devil that you do know and build with the new offense that you are going to have with Mike McCarthy, then here's our number.
5-year deals make me uncomfortable just as a general rule, especially, we all remember getting 2.1 years out of Dez's 5-year deal. Like, you never know what's going to happen. A lot of these guys never see the end of them. So it makes me uncomfortable. But one thing I read, and shout out to Todd Archer, he's the king of breaking down contracts. He laid this out in a really encouraging way for the Cowboys, which is that they have a get out clause after 2 years with this deal because the vast majority of the guarantees are in the first 2 years. Yeah. So if you have to part ways in year 3 or year 4, that's not going to kill you, and I feel perfectly fine with that. And for that matter, Amari's a young guy. I can imagine him finishing this deal. Like, that's not crazy just because he's 26 right now.
Right.
So that's fine. And the other thing is, I understand the concerns, with, the way the season ended, people are put off by his demeanor sometimes. I try to look at it the other way and say, this guy's steady Eddie. Like, if that's how Amari Cooper handled himself in a contract year, then I don't think getting this crazy payout is going to change too much about his demeanor. And I value that. Just, It's nice to know. I think you know exactly what you're going to get at all times from Amari Cooper, which is not something you could ever say about Dez. And I could see you. I mean, I get it because he played 2 snaps against the Jets and he didn't go back in on 4th down against the Eagles. I just mean in terms of like his demeanor. Like, he's the same guy all the time, and that can be frustrating. But he is not. I don't think he's an unpredictable guy. And I don't know. That gives me some peace of mind.
Well, I think last year was weird, just because there was games where he just didn't play well at all, and they were typically on the road. Yeah. I don't know if that's enough of a sample size to say he's only good at home and only good on the road. But I know last year, maybe it's an indoors thing. Maybe it's when weather is tough and it's tough to pass and he harder for him to get open, but. There were some games last year. I mean, New Orleans was another one. He had a couple of really tough penalties that went against him, and those, I think they were questionable offensive pass interference calls, but either way, it affected that game. So, he had some moments where when he's on, they're really good, but when he's not, the team struggles. But that's probably the case for most number one receivers.
I will take the full package of what we've seen from him over 25 games, plus him as a person, over trying to find that somewhere else.
And the crazy part about it, though, even when you talk about the home away splits, like, he was still a 1,000-yard receiver. Like, that's the crazy part about it. Like, he was still missing games, not finishing games, and whatever you want to say about whether his injury was there all season long, he was still a 1,000-yard receiver.
Yeah. And I think, with him, and you can attest to this more than anybody in this room, of course, is that when he was looking at other things around the league, other situations, other potential teams he could go to, what better number 2 receiver is there that he could play next to? Because if Michael Gallup continues to play the way he is, it's going to be hard for teams to just say, well, we just got him one-on-one, because he's winning those battles. Right. So Cooper he's a smart guy. He can see, all right, now, if this guy is over here doing what he does, it's going to be hard to get double team me every play.
I actually I pissed Keenan Allen off earlier this week because I was interested. I went and looked. I was like, Cooper's back in the fold. The Cowboys have one of 6 pairs of 1,000-yard receivers in the league. There's only, I thought, there were only 6 teams that had him. I forgot about the Chargers. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams both had 1,000 yards last year too, and Keenan found my tweet and
what?
He took exception to it. But it's fine. Okay, there's still only 7 teams in the league that have it. So, that's cool.
Hold on. Let's like dig into this a little bit. Now, did somebody retweet it?
I'm sure somebody probably snitch tagged me or something. You know how people like to do on Twitter.
Oh,
they're like, "Oh, Keenan, they're disrespecting you on Twitter." It was an honest mistake. I'm sorry, Keenan Allen.
I like that. I like that term. Snitch tag.
Yeah, that's people do it all the time.
It gets you blocked on my Twitter page.
Oh,
if you do it to me, I'll block you automatically.
But people have done that with me on this show with Dak.
They do
1,000
it
times.
all the time. It's gross.
Yeah.
But I didn't do it on purpose. It was an honest mistake. But so it's the Chargers, the Cowboys. I don't know why I'm trying to do this. I'm not going to remember them all. Buffalo now because they have Stephon Diggs. Yeah. Tampa Bay obviously is the big one.
Oh, Buffalo
Buffalo has Diggs and John Brown.
John
Chargers.
Brown went for 1,000?
Yeah.
What did Beasley get?
I don't know, but it was John Brown and now Stephon Diggs. I don't remember.
It's a pretty good 3. That's a pretty good trio of receivers.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
And the Cowboys, talking about trios, the Cowboys obviously had one with Cobb. Now Randall Cobb's gone. But, when you look in, and one thing, Dave, you and I have talked on the phone more this week than we have ever, probably.
Yes, definitely.
And you despise talking on the phone, so it's been.
You got to do what you got to do. You got to adapt on the fly in these times.
But, we've talked about this before. Yes, if you were to just say before the whole thing, like they're going to lose Quinn, they're going to lose Cobb, they're going to lose Collins, they're going to lose Heath. Who else have they lost there? Witten. If you look at all those. But you're like, all right, which deal would you have done? You wouldn't have done 3 years, 27 for Cobb.
I meant to bring that up with Gerald McCoy too. Is I haven't seen the terms on Malik Collins, and I want to before I make a judgment on that. I wonder how much he got. But I said this yesterday on the draft show. I really thought they were going to make a run at Cobb. All the writing was on the wall that they'd love to have him back. I would have been fine with that. And then I saw what Bill O'Brien gave him, and I was like, no, we're good. No disrespect to Randall Cobb at all, but $27 million with 20 of it guaranteed for a turning, I believe, 30-year-old receiver who, he was good last year. And some drops, couldn't quite get on the same page with Dak at all times. Had hamstring problems coming into his prove-it year with the Cowboys. I think very highly of Randall Cobb, but that deal really surprised me.
And let me just do a quick PSA. If this just so happened there's any NFL players that listen to this show, or guys aspiring to be NFL players, or parents of players who want to be NFL players, be nice to your position and offensive and defensive coordinators. Look around the league. Guys that are getting signed, big money, Malik, all these guys, they're going to play for former coaches.
Jeff Heath.
Guys who are in one place and coaches get fired or move or make changes, they always want to bring a guy or two with them that knows their system, that can be their voice in the locker room. But if you are nasty and evil to those people, they're not going to look you up when they go other places. So just look around the league. See all these guys are getting signed and go, well, why did he get signed there? Oh, he coached him over there last year. Oh, this guy was that coach. It happens all across the league. So understand, be kind.
So
smart.
What you're saying is Mike McCarthy and Randall Cobb maybe didn't get along so well.
I think the deal was just too good that Randall Cobb. I think Randall Cobb was like, Mike, him. I love you, but
no.
You're talking about giving me another $5 million. They're about to give me 20 guaranteed. I gotta go.
I can't. No state income tax in Houston.
I have to imagine that Randall Cobb was pretty surprised.
Yeah.
Maybe he wasn't. I mean,
1 year,
players believe in themselves. Players always believe in themselves. But from 1 year 5 to 3 years 30 it's an amazing turn. And
like he probably called him and was like, he said, wait, what?
God bless Bill O'Brien. I don't know what he's doing.
Sign it. Let's go. Like
seriously.
Like I will drive to Houston. I don't need a plane.
More power to you, man. Which obviously, Cowboys need a slot receiver.
But that's a tough situation for him to be in because not only is he getting a lot of money, but he's now, I'm not saying he's the guy replacing DeAndre Hopkins, but somebody's got to catch the ball over there. And, can you imagine? I mean, the Cowboys getting rid of – Zeke is the closest thing they have to saying the best player at his position. Maybe Zach Martin, Tyrone, Zeke. If you lost one of those guys and then replaced them with just a
Jag.
Dez Bryant.
I would call him a Jag, right? He's a little bit more than Jag.
Dez wasn't Dez when the Cowboys cut him, but they tried to replace their best receiver with Allen Hurns and a bunch of guys nobody's heard of.
You remember the guy that they brought into that he looked like he was 45 years old?
Deontay
Thompson. Good run. But I remember when he signed his thing, he signed the contract, we put it out there, and everybody was like, Who's this guy? Is his dad signing for him?
One of the more blatantly failed experiments in recent Cowboys history.
What happened? Is Noah Brown? What is Noah Brown doing?
He's still kicking around.
He
spent the year on IR, and he's been around the facility. He's still here.
Is he? What is that project? Is that?
I don't know. That was one of those pet cats from.
I've been riding the Noah Brown train, but with a new coaching staff, I think that's a come to training camp and see what you can do type of situation.
Will he ever be with the Giants?
If he's released by the Cowboys, you can't rule it out.
All right. This is probably a record. We're going to go another break here, but 40 minutes plus. And we really haven't talked about that franchise guy yet, but we will.
The one that everybody in the world's tired of arguing about?
Yeah, that's true. All right, we'll go to break. We're going to talk about Dak.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Whether you're into being a part of this or more into something like this, SeatGeek has the tickets to the events you love. It's the easiest way to find, buy, and sell tickets. Plus, with their deal score technology, they'll recommend the best seats in the house at the best value. So the next time you're craving this, download the SeatGeek app and let's go. SeatGeek.
I'm Jay Novacek, former tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. Back in the day, I was the guy who always got the tough yards, and that's why I run with John Deere today. In fact, I have a John Deere 3025E tractor that can handle any yard work I need to do, even the tough yards way out back. So if you have 1 acre or 1,000, John Deere has the equipment that's just right for you. Visit a John Deere dealer today and run with us. We are the official tractor provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
Your new apartment's big. Such a great deal.
It's okay.
Just okay? What's not to...
It's right above the subway.
Well, I bet you don't even notice it after the...
That's my neighbor, Angus.
A deal that's just okay is not okay. Get a great deal with America's best network. Come into an AT&T store to find out how to get one of our popular smartphones for $0 down. Based on GWS One score, September 2019.
Back to the break.
All right, welcome back here to the final segment of the show. And I got Jesse Holley, David Hellman. I'm Nick Eatman here. This is the first time we've worked together. This is pretty good. I see your little Tar Heel stuff on there. So you were at... Talk a little bit about that. You said basketball. You played basketball, but obviously football too. How many basketball games did you play in, though? I mean, did you play like a whole season?
Yeah. I was like the 7th guy off the bench.
He was on a natty team.
National championship team.
Cut the net down?
Yeah. ACC regular season champions.
And
Marvin Williams played pretty well in that. Number 24.
Yeah, number 24.
Without
him, we don't get to that ACC championship game.
Not to make light of a worldwide catastrophe, but kind of bailed the Tar Heels out of having their worst season ever, too.
Man, can't be in nothing they don't have, right?
Yeah. There you go.
Who's to say they weren't going to win the tournament and go in there?
We had already lost. Well, we had lost in Syracuse in the ACC championship.
That's right.
They weren't going to the tournament.
They weren't going, but just nobody's thinking about it right now. So you got that going for you.
When Duke tweeted out they were withdrawing their team from the NCAA tournament, I tweeted, I was like, I think UNC should do the same thing Duke is doing. So nice. Yeah, we've took one on the chin this year.
That's okay. Once every 25 years is fine.
You're still on the national championship high.
Might be the only sport that happens in 2020.
I'm on the national championship high. Arkansas won it 26 years ago. I watch the highlights on that all the time. It's awesome. All right, Dak. Franchise tag. Everyone knew this would happen, but do you think that it's hurt this team when you look at free agency that it got to this point? That $33 million, they still have to sign them. If they could have gotten this deal done, do we see some of these other players maybe that have left that are still here?
Do we believe that having Dak under contract would change their philosophy? Because even with Dak on the tag, I'm not here to tell you Byron Jones isn't good. That's a separate conversation. But the Cowboys didn't value him at $16.5 million. Mm-hmm. If they did, they could have gotten that deal done. That's the thing is even with Dak on the tag, they have this money anyway.
Yeah.
And the same thing, I think, they probably liked Robert Quinn at $9 to $12 million. I don't know, whatever the number is, but I think the Bears blew that out of the water. Mm-hmm. So I don't think these guys would be here even if Dak was under contract. I do think it's pretty silly that we still don't have a resolution of this whole thing when we've known it was heading this way since January of last year.
Yeah.
But do I think it would significantly alter their strategy about free agency? Not really.
No, I don't think so. I'm with Dave. I don't think so either. But looking forward, whenever the idea of football getting back to normal business with OTAs and all that kind of stuff, I think this may ultimately hurt this team. Because who's to say that Dak's going to show up to be a part of these activities? Mm-hmm. And I know that the offense is still kind of the same with Kellen Moore. Maybe the language of it changes. But there's still a level of continuity that needs to be had during the offseason. Right now, guys aren't working out together. Guys aren't here working out. They aren't probably anywhere working out. So you have a guy who may miss an extended period of time with a new coach coming in, trying to get all the systems and the language and the verbiage and his thought philosophy on how we're going to do things, where the ball's going to go, all that kind of stuff, and he's not being here. Those things, to me, matter more than what it would have been as far as if he was signed, what we would have done in free agency. Maybe you spend more, just human nature. When you got a little bit more extra money in your pocket, when you get that bonus, mm-hmm. things that you might not have gotten before, you see what, all right, I'll pay the extra $20 for that shirt because I got Friday. A bonus. It's Friday. I feel good, So, but I think future-wise, this may hurt this football team, and it puts Mike McCarthy kind of almost behind the eight ball trying to get his offense installed.
It isn't that kind of what the Dak and his agent are hoping for, that they can kind of, kind of push the envelope a little bit and say, yeah, we know this is a strain, so pony up. This is what we're asking for, and if he does, that's why people hold out in the first place.
Right.
And if you just hold out, if Tom Brady were to ever hold out in the 17th year of his career, it's like, all right, he knows the system back the back of his hand. But if Dak does it this year, he knows that it's going to be a problem. So maybe that forces the Cowboys' hand.
Which I know the point of this is we're trying to escape the realities of the world. But I think this whole thing with the pandemic really throws an interesting wrench into this whole thing. Because, I'd be right there with you. I'm like, team reports for the offseason on April 6th. Dak needs to be here. The salary cap is going to balloon, and the Cowboys need to do what they need to do. He needs to be here for the whole offseason if they expect to be successful. Offseason programs indefinitely suspended right now. There's no, April 6th is not currently the report date. We don't know when OTAs and minicamp are going to happen. I don't think anything meaningful has happened with training camp yet, but
doesn't that make it even more imperative?
Well,
because if we don't know, whenever they do give the go,
that's a great point.
Whenever they do say, okay, go, right? Everyone's going to be scrambling. Hey, we're here the next couple of days. Let's get here, and that's going to be like, yeah. I'm not going to be there.
That is an amazing point, and my brain hadn't gotten that far yet. But you're right. It'll probably be a lot like the lockout from 2011, where something clicks, and 10 days later, let's go.
But I'll tell you this, even during that lockout, because I was a part of that lockout, the Cowboys, Tony Romo, Jason Witten, guys like that, we worked out every day. Even though we couldn't be here, we worked out in Southlake almost 3 or 4 times a week. So while we couldn't be here doing stuff, we were still together. We were still putting in the work. Guys were still showing up, conditioning, getting stuff in. Defensive guys were there. DeMarcus Ware was there. All those guys were there putting in the work.
Who was the coach of that?
Of putting that stuff together?
Yeah, just on the field, organizing, this is what we're going to do next, that kind of stuff.
I would say offensively, it was a lot of John Kitna and Tony Romo at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Witten was out there too?
He was out there.
Yeah.
I believe, Witten was out there, wasn't he?
Nick is implying something. I'm
No,
not
yeah,
sure.
I'm like,
I'm really not, actually. I was just kind of curious on that.
Your tone of voice made me think you were about to make a point.
Like, you're wrong. No,
Yeah.
if my memory
really.
serves me correctly, they were.
I don't imply anything.
Yeah, no, we were all. Roy Williams was out there. Patrick Creighton was out there. Guys like that. Sam Hurd, like all the guys that were significant guys were there.
This is a really good point. Is like, it almost might be more important because you don't know when all of this stuff is going to click into place. And also,
Brady James was running for the defense.
If Dak was under contract, he would probably be doing something similar. You know,
Right.
he takes his guys to Orlando every summer and he gets these guys together. I don't know if he's going to be doing as much of that until he has a contract. We'll see.
But to what you were saying, you couple him not having a contract and we're in this global pandemic with this, social distancing and not being around one another. So guys might be saying, because we don't know, some people may have, people who are in their family who have compromised immune system, who may have young children. And they're like, listen, dude, I want to be there, but my girl has no spleen, or my mom who lives with me doesn't have this, whatever, or I have young newborn children. I really can't risk hanging out with you guys for a week at a time and then coming home and possibly, because let's be honest, we're being totally honest. If let's just say Dak says, come on guys, we're going to Orlando. You think guys are going on the football field and then going to quarantine into their hotel rooms?
No.
No. It's not going to happen that way. Mm-mm. They're going to go out, right? Whatever's open, they're going to try to find some way to have some sort of fun, whether it's a beach or something. They're going to, and they're Cowboys. So, what that also means? Hey, I make a phone call. I know the bar shut down, but the Cowboys in town. Can we come in and have dinner? That's a realistic thing.
It puts a really interesting wrench into like everything that happens in an off season. I do, and I wonder though, like how much of this is going to be about economics versus like principle? Because that's the thing I keep going back to as well is, well, the new CBA that just got passed by 32 votes or whatever it was, everybody keeps telling me that the salary cap is about to skyrocket. Like, could go up by like 40% in the next 2 years. It's hard to know for sure, but it's usually a 10% increase. Right. They're projecting way higher leaps. So if you got to throw Dak a little extra money, does it really matter that much? And that's another point to Amari Cooper is like that deal will be a bargain in no time.
Right.
And almost anything you could sign Dak to would probably be a bargain in no time. Like if the salary cap shoots up and Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson come up for new contracts, which they already are, those guys, we're talking about 40. Maybe those guys are signing for like 45, especially Mahomes.
Yeah.
And all of us, it's like, well, I can't believe we paid Dak $38 million a year, but then 18 months from now it looks silly.
Yeah.
So that's something that I keep thinking about is they can probably afford to do whatever they need to do. It's just, are they willing to lose the negotiation?
That's the frustrating part. If I'm Dak, I'm saying, are we serious here? Like, I've outplayed any expectation that you had for me. Remember 4 or 5 years ago, he was behind Kellen Moore. He had to have Tony go down and Kellen Moore break an ankle for him to get an opportunity to even get some reps in practice. And you haven't until this year. You just paid me $2 million this year for 1 year. Like you got a severe discount for the last 4 seasons. I don't even know why I'm even having to deal with a franchise tag and possibly not showing up. Because the discount that you are talking about, you got it for the last 4 years because you didn't think I was going to be what I actually turned out to be and saved your tails. I saved your tails because you had no plan. There was no plan in place after Tony Romo went down. There was no plan in place after Kellen Moore went down. I actually came in, and while I may not have given you the Super Bowl success that you wanted, I kept this thing from really sinking and going way left and gave you something to sell to the people going forward.
Well, what I wonder is what was on the table last year in the offseason? What could he have signed for? 31, 32? I feel like those numbers were out there.
Yeah.
What I wonder is, let's say there was a 32 and he didn't take it. Now, and he played for 2. So theoretically, he lost 30. Theoretically, I know that they do the contracts a little differently, but he could make 32 and he made 2. Is he gonna get that back? Is he gonna get that back 30 million? By this bigger deal, are you gonna get that back? I mean, think about it. What if he gets 37? You've still got to get a 6-year deal to get $5 million more to make up the 30. I think he made a mistake by leaving that much.
If you do 30 last year on the front end and you prorate that through the course of a contract, he's not having to make up that 30 because he would have been if he signed last year, right, for 30, and then 2 years from now, guys are getting 40. And he's still only getting 30-something.
He could theoretically be missing that on the back end.
He's missing that on the back end. So what he'll get on this one will make up for whatever you assumed he missed on that front part of it. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, but I just feel like if you would have done I'm always about starting the clock, and that's why I was with Zeke. Start the clock, be 28 or 29 when you're able to get another one. That's what I'm saying. Start the clock, get a deal, get another one when all this is going. And I still think the difference, let's say he's making 38 in 5 years, maybe he's not the starter, maybe he is, maybe he only makes 30 or whatever. I don't think that's going to be as much of a drop as it was from going from 2 to 30. I don't know. I'm already getting myself tired here.
I at least somewhat follow your line of logic. And again, I think a big part of this comes down to principle too, where it's maybe on Dak's part, but also his representation. Like, it's a pride thing. Like, we want to set a deal that's going to make us look badass. And the Cowboys, to your point, are like, well, we'll pay you 34, but like, let's be real. Like, have you accomplished what 38 entails? And like, I feel like that is the difference of opinion.
Yeah.
And I don't know who wins that argument. But
what's the math on 2 to 32?
Don't ask me to do math.
But if 4 is like 200%, right? So we're talking 1,500% from 2 to something like that. That what my point is that if you would have taken that, then you start the clock. When you get a new deal, whether you go up or down, it's not going to be 1,500% of a difference.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
But it was in everybody's best interest to get this thing done the week after Carson Wentz signed his. And
they could have signed him 2 years ago for like 20-something.
Well, they could not 2 years because he wasn't eligible until January. Yeah. But it's, I don't think any one party is purely to blame. I think it's always, some of it's on the team, some of it's on the player.
Money.
We've got 2 minutes.
I just want them to sort it out.
We've got 2 minutes left to talk about one of the first ones that they did. And this is a contract that, it's not what have you done, it's what do we think you're going to do. And that's Blake Jarwin.
Wow. Damn. No, I'm
so happy.
Why?
I'm so happy. I think I am a fan of Blake Jarwin. I think given the opportunity, he's going to, and I'm not saying he's going to be the next Antonio Gates, but I think he has the ability to give this team a legit middle of the field seam threat. I do. I think he has that ability, and that's just what I'm seeing from a small sample size. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that they finally turned the page away from Jason Witten. Nothing against Jason Witten; he's a future Hall of Famer. I just got stop trying to stop. That dog is dead. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That dog's been dead for a while, and we. There's nothing to do with the character and person of Jason Witten.
No, I
love him as a man. I think he's a great dude. But at some point in time, you had to turn the page. And they kept thank you. Let Blake Jarwin spin.
The phrasing caught me off guard, but I agree with your overall point. And in a small sample size, I looked this up when he signed. 37% of the snaps. I think he had 360 yards, plays down the seam. He made the only offensive play of the entire Saints game, down the seam, week 1 against the Giants, touchdown. Had a great yak play against the Giants in New Jersey. Caught it on like the 30-yard line and somehow managed to score as a tight end. That's pretty impressive. Yeah. His athleticism.
You want to see Coops and you want to see Michael Gallup's numbers go up.
Yeah.
Start having a guy that can legitimately hold that safety down the middle, and then you can start pushing the ball down the field, down the sideline.
Also, maybe, and not to say Blake Jarwin can't block, he can, but don't try to pretend that he's prime Jason Witten either. Get him off the line.
Yeah, those days are dead.
Those
days are dead.
And that's one thing that if you want to say, well, can he block? Can he do that? Like Jason Witten did. You got to remember, this offense, I think, is going to be different with what the tight ends have to do.
And Jason Witten sucked the last 2 or 3 years blocking. Sorry.
No, he wasn't. No, I said prime Jason Witten.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And those days, those tight end blocking days.
Right. This is not what that offense is going to be. And if you look at what McCarthy's offenses were, the fullback blocks a lot more. I don't know if Jameis Olawale is the answer there. They did sign him, but I think if there are old school type fullbacks, maybe some in the draft. I don't know if there's any like that. Offenses don't really have that much. But I could see that kind of fit for the Cowboys as well, because to get the wham the nose type blocking at the line, I think you'll see that from the fullback, and your tight ends will be spread out a little bit more. So that's why that's why Jarwin would fit more in this offense, and that's why Witten doesn't.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's Travis Kelce, but I'm very optimistic about what Blake Jarwin can be if he's getting 70% of the snaps.
He can be a 500-600 yard, 4 or 5 touchdown a year dude.
Still drafting one?
Tight end?
Mm-hmm.
Not early. I don't love this tight end class anyway, but if there was a guy there I wouldn't even want to do round 3, but
yards.
Day 3.
700 yards for Jarwin?
Easy.
That's not
easy.
That's after 1,000 for Cooper and Gallup.
Overtime, but there's a lot of yards to go around. For Cooper,
you got to remember.
Yeah, Dak is good. Dak took the step last year. He had how many yards? He was 40. 90 yards from being a 4,000 yard passer. Correct. 5,000 yard passer.
Yeah.
All right.
You got to remember though that
now take every snap that Jason Witten played and every catch that he had that was a 5-yard catch and was a 5-yard gain. And now take those same catches and equate them to Blake Jarwin, and it is at least a 5-yard catch and a 9 or 10 or 12-yard gain.
I don't want Dak throwing for 5,000 yards. If he throws for 5,000 yards, they're going to lose.
That's the name of the game now.
No, but it's the name of an average to bad team. Jameis Winston had more than that, and he didn't have a job right now. I think that if you're throwing the ball all the time, that means you're not winning. Troy Aikman never had those because Emmett had those yards. So
yeah, but that was also a personnel of 21 and
I get
2 tight ends and
but
jumbo
I'm saying,
packages.
If Dak can actually have the lead and they could run the ball a little bit more, I don't think he needs to throw for 5,000 yards. I think 42, 43.
And that's cool, but
less could be more in that sense.
I still take, how many catches did Witten have this year? 60?
Sounds about right.
So I take those 60 and I want to multiply whatever the number was by a percentage. I just think the yak with Blake Jarwin is his ability to separate and to actually catch it and run it after he gets it.
I'm just saying it's going to be hard with CeeDee Lamb in the slot in addition to Gallup and Cooper.
Wait a second. Witten's role's going to Dez, isn't it?
Oh, stop.
Please.
All right.
That's another topic.
We can end on that one. All right. It's been fun. It's been a fun hour and some change there. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. I think we'll be back in order here with our full crew. Derek and Amber should be back with us. But for this
week,
don't
want me back? You don't want me back next week?
Well, I think you're going to be back. You're going to be hanging with
come
your
back
crew.
whenever you want.
Hanging with your boys over there. All right. For Jesse Holley, David Hellman, I'm Nick Eatman. Thanks to everybody in the back for making this one work. We'll see you guys next time on The Break.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!